HSBC, one of the world's largest banks, is accused of facilitating money laundering and terrorist financing in a newly released report by the United States Congress. Bank leaders took some tough questions on Capitol Hill Tuesday about the report, and this is where we find CCTV's Jessica Stone, who joins us live. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Phil. Well, Senate investigators reviewed more than 1.4 million documents. They talked to 75 HSBC bank officials, and they did this over the course of the last year. Their investigation came up with one conclusion, that HSBC did not do enough to prevent its banking affiliates from helping criminals.
With more than $2.5 trillion in assets and profits exceeding $21 billion, London-based HSBC is one of the largest banks in the world. It's a global bank operating in more than 80 countries. But a year-long U.S. Senate investigation reveals that the bank's inadequate internal controls and high-risk clients may have aided and abetted criminal activity, including potential money laundering by Mexican drug traffickers, as well as terrorist financing for groups like Al-Qaeda.
The consequences are the ones that you'd expect from operating a U.S. bank with inadequate safeguards against money laundering. The U.S. bank can end up aiding and abetting transactions that fund terrorists, drug cartels, corrupt dictators, and tax cheats. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
At a U.S. Senate hearing Tuesday, senators expressed outrage at HSBC's lack of oversight, including failure to report suspicious activity and a 3-year failure by the bank's U.S. affiliate to monitor bulk cash transactions from branches considered high risk.
Too often what we found left us very troubled, both for the risk to our nations and for the level of effort we saw to eliminate them.
The report suggests an overhaul of the bank's anti-money laundering measures, including screening high-risk affiliates, closing accounts for banks with terrorist financing links, and implementing effective anti-money laundering monitoring.
In hindsight,
acknowledging the bank's failures Tuesday, HSBC's top executive in charge of its anti-money laundering programs told lawmakers he's resigning.
I recognize that there have been some significant areas of failure. I have said before, and I will say again, despite the best efforts and intentions of many dedicated professionals, HSBC has fallen short of our own expectations and the expectations of our regulators.
And Phil, a key cause of the HSBC failures, according to the report, high turnover, among other things, in the compliance department, making it difficult for employees to keep track of and to track suspicious activity. But the bank really also is taking one action, at least. The bank says it will be closing all HSBC Mexico affiliates. Keep in mind, the broader picture here is that a lot of regulation and a lot of investigation has gone on in the last 10 years since the September 11th attacks, because that all too clearly illustrated the impact of money laundering on the potential for global terrorism.
Jessica, this is a very serious situation, and you mentioned it's been 10 years in the investigation. Is it possible there could be other banks also potentially guilty of something very similar?
Oh, certainly. But this investigation was confined to HSBC. In fact, it's the first investigation that was used as a case study. And of course, there have already been actions even during the course of the report, as HSBC has repeatedly raised red flags with regulators.
All right, great stuff. Thank you for helping us with this story. Jessica Stone, live outside the Capitol building.